Hasn't it been a wonderful conference? I would be remiss if I didn't thank our staff and thank Terry and Luke. The staff is like in the hinterlands back there, and I want them to stand up. I told them earlier, I don't know if they believed me, but they're the workers. You know, the board, we're just kind of the lip gloss. We get the table in the front, and we get everybody to say, oh, you all do such a wonderful job, blah, blah, blah. That is the heart and soul of NAMI, Ohio, right there. So we thank them from the bottom of our hearts. I want to give a special shout out to Katie and to Stacy. That girl right there never stops. She has been on an adrenaline high for the last 48 hours, just chugging away, and she's like a duck. She's so calm, and those little feet are just paddling under the water. So thank you, Katie. If you don't, or if you haven't figured it out by now, I want to say to you how honored I am to be the president of the NAMI Ohio Board of Directors, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. This organization means so much to you all, and it means so much to me. I want to welcome you all to our Saturday luncheon and to our annual meeting. I cannot overstate the importance the NAMI Ohio Board of Directors places on you, our local affiliates. You are the reason we exist. You are the grassroots. You are the boots on the ground that take that phone call. I would like to call on Jessica Schmidt to present the newly elected board members. Did I interrupt your lunch too?
Maybe for the first time in history at NAMI Ohio, the 10 board openings were filled with board members seeking re-election. We believe this is so important for continuity because we are entering into a new era of leadership. I will now announce the board members elected to an additional 3-year term. Board members, please stand when I call your name. I ask that you please hold your applause until all have been named. Bob Spada, North Royalton. Julie Hammond, Huron. Eric McKee, Findlay. Latrice Waddell, Toledo. Judge Joyce Campbell, Fairfield. Etta Allman, Columbus. Karen Cousins, Galloway. Andrea Fronet, Athens. Ann Walker, Millfield. And Quentin Mondin, Columbus. Three more years to help those citizens in Ohio living with mental illness and their families. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jessica. So this is the moment I get to share with you the president's message. As a municipal court judge, I've presided over a mental health court now, although I'm only 29, for 22 years. And all the issues that were there 22 years ago when we started that court, we're still dealing with today. And there are times that I'm so disheartened that my options are limited to provide assistance to the individuals appearing before me, that they're before me in a court of law on a criminal charge solely due to their mental illness. Coming to the NAMI Ohio board meetings or interacting with all of you, it restores my faith and it gives me hope again that at some time, God willing, in the very near future, we will be able to refer people to what they need and not the criminal justice system where they don't belong. I am also blessed to be the first vice president of the NAMI National Board of Directors. And in that position, I get to see what goes on all over this country, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am keenly aware, and one of the reasons I invited Dan Gillison to join us is I wanted him to see the uniqueness of NAMI Ohio. And although NAMI Ohio speaks and must continue to speak for those with no voice, I'm saddened by Ohio's mental health system, and it's the strongest, one of the strongest ones in the nation. And we know how far we need to go. So think about some of these other places where they don't even have a tenth of what we already have. I'm also very aware, for all of us, how COVID impacted our youth. Today, we look at people in so many communities that are struggling to put food on the table. They're scared to walk outside because of the rise in crime. They've lost 2 years of education and the loss of socialization that gives everyone a stronger foundation. What does that mean for us at NAMI? What it means is we've got a whole new generation of Ohioans that are going to need mental health care and are going to need a voice to speak for them. We need to be as well known and as well funded and as well respected as the Red Cross. There's not an American that doesn't know who the Red Cross is, and every American should know who NAMI is and what we stand for. I am an elected official. That part of the job sucks, but I am an elected official. And I know that the only way to succeed is to let people know what we do. We've got to get our message out to anyone who will listen and have the political will to fight for mental health care above all else. It is not time for us to sit back and be polite. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where mental health is first and foremost in people's mind because of this darn pandemic. Let's take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, something that Terry has fought for 50 years. We need to make it happen now. This year, NAMI Ohio is turning a new leaf in leadership. I believe that we've all heard during the past 2 days the respect of our current director, Terry Russell, and we've thanked him and will continue to thank him profusely for all that he's done. But his life is going to go on as a semi-retired individual, and our life as NAMI is going to go on. With Luke Russell's background as the new director, he will not be Terry. He will be Luke. I call it Terry 2.0, a little less bombastic. But the one thing our board is comfortable with, and so should you be, is that Luke has the passion and the intellect and the ability to help those needing NAMI's voice. You'll be hearing both from Terry and Luke at the conclusion of my report. To our affiliates. Let me throw in a side note here. Now, when I got on the NAMI National Board, which I'm now in my 4th year, I've got 2 more years, I was disgusted, I was disheartened, I was ready to quit because of the attitude by National, and if Dan Gillison was here, because he's heard me say it, and I think he agrees with me, the attitude of the state organizations and the attitude of National towards the affiliates. I give you my word of honor. That has changed at the National office. Dan Gillison and his staff know it, and we as a board remind him at every call, every meeting. Boots on the ground is who matters and who we need to support. all of the policy stuff is necessary. It is. But it's that phone call from that mom at 11 o'clock at night. It's the phone call from the brother at 3 in the afternoon. Those are the people that we serve. And the policy is important, but I don't want us to get lost, lose the forest for the trees. We here at NAMI always, because we have so many people that are involved with their local affiliates, we don't forget about the affiliates. And I know sometimes it seems like, we're busy with the state legislature and the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services and the other partners that we deal with. And sometimes it becomes too easy for us not to give you the attention that you all deserve. Never, ever, ever hesitate to contact the NAMI Ohio offices when you need anything, because we truly believe, every board member and every staff person believes, that mental illness is a local community issue, and you're the people that deal with it. Because of the bureaucracy, which I detest, just like Terry, we're like relatives from different parents, and the nature of this mean illness, it is easy to become discouraged. And it happens to all of us, those calls that you don't, where do I refer them? How do I help them? What do I do? When I have to lock someone up in jail because I have no place to send them and I want to keep them safe, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart for them, it breaks my heart for their family. So whenever I get really discouraged, I look for inspiration to keep me going and keep me fighting the good fight. And one such source is Dr. Sarah Hellman. And if you've not heard of her, she has a great little book called Broken Down Jalopies. Great read, short read, worth your time. Dr. Hellman has battled mental illness and addiction, and as a result, she's a great artist, has devoted her talent and her life to teaching art to those battling mental illness and addiction wherever they are. She spends her days in the darkest of places: hospitals, safe houses, addiction centers, jails, and prisons, and homeless shelters. But before each session, when she's going to do an art project with her people, she reminds her students who they are. And today, I want to remind you who you are, in case life maybe has beaten it out of you as it has me some days. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your addiction. You are not your mistakes. You are not the time you may have spent in jail or prison. You, each of you, is a child of the Most High God. You came from a king. There is royal blood running through your veins. You possess the qualities of the king you come from. All of you were born with the wisdom, the courage, and the strength to rise above whatever struggle you face today or tomorrow. Let me remind you who you are. You are a royal warrior. Let me say that again. You are a royal warrior. Let no one, let no circumstance make you feel less than. So I ask all of you today, embrace that royal warrior in you. Be Terry-like. Embrace that royal warrior inside of you and continue to fight for the support and the services those living with mental illness and their families deserve. I am so honored and so blessed to be the president of this organization, And I thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Melody White, are you in the room? Come on down.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I'm so sorry, Judge.
No, you have nothing to apologize for.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and it's so great to be here. It really has energized. It's a reset for all of us, but we at NAMI Northwest just wanted to give a special thank you to Terry, special shout out, Terry. I won't take up any more time, but we just have something special for you to remember us for hitting all the home runs, all the hole-in-ones. Hole-in-ones.
That's beautiful.
Thank you for your lifetime service. So, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Terry. Thank you very much.
Now that you're here, I'm going to turn it over to Terry.
Thank you. That's hard to follow. You know, I decided last night after the kids gave their presentation from Youth Move, I asked a young lady if she would teach me how to rap my speech today, so bear with me. No. Joke. I had y'all gone there for a minute. I have spent a great deal of my time thinking about what I'd say to this group today. First and foremost, thank you for helping NAMI movement here in Ohio be the strongest in the country. I have often said, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, NAMI grew from grassroots, the 4 women around the kitchen table. And the heart of this organization are our affiliates. Let me repeat that. The heart of our affiliates, or the heart of our organization is our affiliates. The brain is Terry Russell, but the heart is... Another joke. Some of the things that we do for those we represent are incredible. I look out in the audience and see people like Melanie White, Rochelle Martin, and Jessica Smith, Gloria Walker, on and on and on. And so many others who have given so much to their lives for this movement. Every one of you here today plays a part in making lives better for those that need us. You know, this is in my presentation, but I was saying to someone the other day, when you walk up to a person, no, I do think I have this in speech. I'm going to say it twice because it's that important. When you walk up to someone who lives with a mental illness or their families, say, how are you doing? Or how's your son doing? Because nobody else does. This is a lonely illness. Gloria Walker always said, it's not a casserole illness. People don't bring casseroles in when you go to the state hospital. In my 24 years here at NAMI, I have met so many incredible board members and members, NAMI people. They have given me and my staff the strength to do what we do. Prior to COVID, 4 times a year, I would leave every board meeting re-energized because of their passion and their commitment. Each board member is so different. The diversity is not only race, economic status, politics. Hell, I have Janet and Bob on my board, for God's sake. And for you to know that, that's the left hand and the right hand. And they haven't killed each other. But we put all that on the back burner to the action that needs to happen for us to be successful. Every board member has a place in my heart. And no one will be more important. However, you know, I am going to mention a few because some are gone and some have been so important in my life. Herb Reisenfeld, talked to him about him yesterday. Bernie Shell. For us that have been around, there was nobody like Bernie Shell. By the way, Bernie Shell is the one that taught me to be so aggressive. Velma Beal. Velma Beal was the president of this organization and brought her son to our office, and we worked and worked and worked, and one day she called me and said her son took his life. She was an angel. Phyllis Putnam, Charlie Alder, Reverend Mosley, talked about yesterday. Gloria Walker, my sister, my older sister. My older sister. I mentioned yesterday Ann and Tom Walker and the Polsers and the Hecks and Don and Dan and the Knaps. Dr. Fred Freeze. Dr. Fred Freeze would call me and say, and you know how Fred was, and he'd say, Terry, I need you up here tomorrow to give a speech. And I says, I'm not giving a speech if I have to follow you. Not going to happen. Dr. Steve Jewell, the best child psychiatrist, sat on my board for 8 years as a child psychiatrist. Judge Campbell, Roy McGinnis, I mentioned, Lavelle Custer. Those are just a few. And all my current board, this is the best board I've had in my 50 years. I've worked for a board since I was 29 years old, and this is the best that I've ever had. And I'm leaving Luke in good hands with this board. When I came to NAMI Ohio, you all know, and we've heard the story over in time, we were bankrupt, blah, 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 blah. They couldn't pay me, blah, 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 blah. I asked a few friends, and Bob always says, his friends helps friends, to give us this money, Mike Hogan, and it worked. But I went in the office, and the place was a mess. The director's desk was full of stuff, and there were checks stuck under books, and it was just awful. So I called friends. I called 2 ADMH board finance people I knew from from the state, one from Cleveland and one from Toledo. And they came down, and I asked Stacy Smith to come down and say, tell me where I am financially. I have no idea. They worked, I think, 3 days and found out the bad news. So I begged Stacy. I said, Stacy, come to work for me. Work at NAMI. You've worked for me at Springfield. Drive to Columbus every day. Don't be sure you have a job. You may not get paid. You got a great job at government. And I'll be good. Oh, I almost said something bad. She said yes. You know, I had some board members or staff members. My staff stayed with us for a lot of years, and that helped that growth. Suzanne Robinson, Karen Lindbergh, a bunch of great people who stayed there and worked hard. And now I look at the staff, it's kind of a young staff. I don't know if all my old staff left because they got mad at me or whatever, but it's kind of a young staff. And but they're so dedicated, and I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate all of you. You know, though, it may be good that they're young, haven't been with us all along, because that will give Luke the opportunity to bond with them and lead them in the direction that keeps this organization going in the future. I also want to thank, as I leave, I'm turning the reins over to someone that I know pretty well. Let me tell you about the real Luke Russell. Growing up, Luke was my most difficult child. Even with his orneriness, Luke had a very good heart. Whew, this is going to be hard. He had a younger brother, Todd. Todd's one of my best friends. But Todd asked Luke, he said, Luke, will you be my best man when they got married? Todd, our youngest, got married before Luke. And he said, so Luke was the best man. I was riding down Old Tangy River Road with Luke. This is 27 years ago. And I'm riding down I remember the road. And Luke says, boy, Todd's going to be mad at me. And I said, why? He says, because I'm not going to ask him to be my best man. He says, I'm going to ask you. when Luke graduated from the Ohio State University, we went to dinner, and he said, "Dad, I want to follow you in the mental health business." He then went down to OU and got his master's degree and started working. He's going to tell you where he worked and his background, but he worked in a mental health center for 5 years, 2 advocacy organizations, and for the 17 years, he worked in the largest not-for-profit corporation in the country. A few years ago, we were talking about my planned retirement, and he said, "Boy, I'd love to have that job, but I can't take the pay cut." And so we didn't talk about it anymore, because I wasn't going to give him more or tell the board to give him more. That's awful. But then, when I really did decide to retire, I mentioned this story to some of my board members, and they said, "Well, let's talk to Luke." And they did, and I stayed out of it. And the next thing I know, we had a succession plan. They said, "Terry, you're leaving June 30th. Must have been a good interview. Luke felt so strongly about NAMI, Ohio, that he's going to accept this job, or he did accept the job 2 years ago as my deputy for a $45,000 pay cut. I don't think I would have done that. There's some judgment issues there, maybe. Earlier, I stated he was a challenge during his high school years and his college years. But when he got married, he became a man of faith. Honestly, our whole family was so surprised. We were almost dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? But it was in God, I think, put his hand on Luke's shoulders. And that's why he's coming to NAMI, Ohio. I believe that. With that, I am going to work a little bit around the housing issues and for the mental health system. I told someone last night there's a real thin line between passion and obsession. And I get a little aggressive when I'm obsessed. I'm not going to get any of that. I'm going to keep passion, and I'm going to tinker around, and we're going to have some housing and some pillows for people's heads that are currently living under a bridge. We're going to do that. I want to thank all my staff. I love all of you. My board, I love all of you, and all of you. God bless. Thank you.
Well, when he said that, I thought he was going to start bringing up my past, and I was like, whoa, I wanted to call Bobby Hackett and have him show up, and we'll share a few stories, too. Does anybody know where I got that orneriness? I mean, my sister and my brother are very laid back and compassionate, and they're just like my mom. And there's some of us, well, actually, Rachel's got a little bit of us in us. How do you follow up the end of this conference and what we just heard? Joyce, you're probably going to, your next career is going to be a preacher. Because I heard some amens in the back of the room when she was speaking. And it's really, I mean, the whole conference, but also NAMI in the last 24 years at NAMI and following that. There was a lady who approached me a few minutes ago. I didn't want to go off script. But she said, I'm from NAMI, Clark Green, Madison County. And she said, we work at the Vernon Center. I said, I know, I've been there recently, took a tour, and I want that group to stand up. Where are you? These are our peers right here. And these are the people we work with and we work for. And coming out of corporate, and I'm not going to share a lot. You mentioned share a lot about myself. I'm not going to do that. Quite frankly, my career was my career, and it was what I wanted to do, and I've followed it hard. But I will share here in a minute why I'm here. But that's the reason we're here. And the biggest issue with Terry leaving, those are the people that we serve every day. I started in June of 2020 at NAMI, and it was a succession plan. And he mentioned June. I think he was supposed to leave June of 2021. But who makes all the decisions? Let's be real. Honestly, though, 2 years of watching a phone call come in and the hard calls go to Terry. And that's going to be hard to replace. But what we won't replace is, and what we won't stop doing is remembering who we work for. So thank you for coming up to me, because I'm like, you get the first shout out. So I don't want to get off script because I could go all day, and I'm ending this, I believe. I'm looking around. Oh no, we got somebody follow me. So real quick, I do want to thank the board of directors with the opportunity to lead this organization. This organization truly gives hope to people, and you'll hear more about that. And really, the last 2 days have been absolutely amazing. I look at what we do here, and it's become more apparent than ever that NAMI Ohio and our affiliates are the ones to bring to the table real change, and make no mistake about that, that's going to be done. We are not going to stop. I am a little less bombastic, but I am about equally competitive. But 2 years ago, when I actually think you lied, because we were out golfing, he said, Dan Gillison asked me about our transition plan. I said, oh yeah, we got it figured out. He goes, man, I haven't got a clue what we're going to do here in a couple years. And about that time, I worked in corporate for about 18 years. Prior to that, I worked at the Arc of Ohio. I'd worked for a mental health center. My days at the mental health center and my days at the Arc of Ohio were where you go to work and you love your job. But the last several years where I was, it was miserable. And it was paid well. Got a pension, got a 401k, and I said, I'm 50 years old, okay, if I can get to 60, I can retire. 10 years. That was my thinking. And after we spoke, heard the voice, said, no matter what. What he didn't tell you is my wife got her master's degree and got a teaching job right after I took NAMI. That helped. My wife's an intervention specialist and social worker, but you know what she said? She said, this is you, man. This is what you need to go into. And I want you to know I do not view this as a new role or job or work. And this is an opportunity to lead and join with all of you a group of people whose mission and purpose align with my own personal values. To say I take on this role with a large weight of responsibility would be the biggest understatement of the year or the century. I've worked places where we joke that if no one showed up for a week, no one would notice and no one would care. That cannot be said about NAMI Ohio and the affiliates. Every day we are impacting somebody's life for good, and that's a great place to work. In the world full of darkness and division and self-centeredness, social upheaval, NAMI is a light that shines even brighter in the darkness. We are brighter today because of what's going on, and I believe God's got a hand in that one. My priority is to make sure we do not lose a step in the advancements made in the last 20-plus years. We've heard a lot about those advancements. Dan Gillison left here amazed, and I said, I'm amazed too. What I saw the last couple days, stuff I didn't even know was going on. It's awesome. We have a reputation of being the true individual and family voice, and it's not lost. It will not be lost during this leadership transition. We will continue to be the voice. I'm going to ask staff right now if we need to speak up. That should be me, and some of you, and be willing to take the stripes on the back that Terry's taken for years. In short, I've worked at NAMI. At the short time I've worked at NAMI, there are countless of examples of people, family, and individuals, NAMI Ohio staff, board members, affiliates, that I've engaged with, and I've seen them embrace the legacy Terry started. They want to help people. It's contagious, and we can't lose that. One of my main goals is to keep the main thing, the main thing. And this means helping people where they're at today with the tools and resources and assistance they need to avoid a crisis or to find a way out of crisis today. We don't wait. Terry doesn't let us wait. If a call comes in, we're going to start dealing with it. I embrace this leadership position in both word and deed. Yes, being the director is an important role, making sure we have goals and priorities and that we have an organizational chart and we manage budgets and advocacy strategies, media campaigns. We talked about some of that today. Build awareness, all those things. And these are things that must be done. But on a personal goal of mine is to be more than the position and title of executive director. My focus will be on leading NAMI Ohio to be an influencer and champion for individuals and their families. That's what's been done the last 20 plus years. I want all of our efforts to change lives at the grassroots level and among the public and key decision makers. Leading NAMI Ohio really means that we continue to be the voice for families with school-aged children struggling with mental health, that we're the voice of adults with serious mental illness seeking to live independently, seeking quality long-term living options in their own home, to be the voice for the family caregiver looking for help to care for ones they love, and to be the voice for the person who has no one and is cycling in and out of the homelessness shelters, criminal justice system. Again, the bar has been set high here. Terry has been willing to be the voice when others have been silent. And this means he has left a few calls or meetings being disliked and sometimes loathed. And I know that because he would share with me sometimes, even when I didn't work at NAMI, man, it was a rough day. Yet how many people and families without his voice would have never been heard? I wonder if we could count how many voices that he was a voice for someone. I'm thinking 1,000. Stacy, 2? Millions. As a new director here, if our staff and affiliates and partners, if our efforts are person-centered because of my leadership and influence, then I will be doing my job. Each person and family who reaches out to us needing help will not be ignored, pushed off. We will continue to live it out. The person-centered, what we talk, we want to live it out day to day in the office and among our affiliates and among our partner groups. Let me share some personal experience. My first week at NAMI, it was in June of 2020. A man called about his adult son. He actually called, and Terry took the call. And he said, "Sit down, you need to learn how to do this." And, or he yelled from his office, "Luke!" And the staff, we don't use intercoms. The man called about his young son. And if I didn't mention earlier, I live in South Charleston, so I'm a Clark County guy, so that's the reason I'm also giving you guys a shout out. This man said he was exhausted. He needed to find a good home for his son. He loved his son. He was happy for his son. His son had finally gotten a job at Kroger. He was doing okay, but his dad said, it's tough. It turns out that I knew this father and son. They were from South Charleston, Ohio. First week I was there. And this guy had 3 kids. The oldest, she was the best singer I've ever heard, one of the best singers, and we live in a really small town, so she was the lead in every major musical. Had another son that was a really good soccer player, but the young son struggled. Everybody knew it. And when I was listening, I said, this hit home to me. In every community and family, there are folks needing help. And we must all realize that at times, NAMI is that last lifeline for that family. Just last week, a high school friend sent me an email out of the blue to my NAMI email address. I had not seen or heard from her in 30 years. And it was in my wilder days, and she used to hang out with us, and it was crazy. She emailed me at the NAMI Ohio email, and what she said is she's from my hometown, where I grew up, and she had spoken to Senator Hackett. And he said, if anyone can help her, it'd be NAMI Ohio. She explained her own mental illness and the negative impact it had had on her 2 children who she did not raise, and a life of abuse, neglect, and trauma. She stated how she started to self-medicate, became addicted, but she turned her life around. 9 years ago, she's clean. She told me on numerous occasions she's taken her psychotropic medications. She's visiting her doctor. And I'm still just amazed that she saw that I was having this communication with somebody I hadn't seen for 30 years. But then she said, my son he's 28 years old. He's in the Franklin County Jail. And she said he was abused by her ex-husband. in a bad way. And he was sitting in the jail, and he got hooked to drugs, and he told her recently, I just don't want to live anymore. And he was up on weapons charges, and he was going to do suicide by cop. And she goes, he's in the jail. I don't care if he gets out, but he needs treatment. And so I've been back and forth with some people, and I found out what plan he's on, what Medicare plan, to make sure we get him treatment. But I realized at that time, NAMI, at times, is the last lifeline for those families. Lastly, I want to share about Jeff, my brother-in-law. He suffers from bipolar delusions. Jeff experienced trauma from a young age. He was basically abandoned about the age of 10, kind of raised by my wife. She was 14. And I remember that about 18, he'd come over to my apartment down in Athens, and I would buy him alcohol. We were partying. But I remember he was always different. He was always by himself. He never had any friends, just, chalked it up to that was his personality. He was in and out of trouble. At age 30, he was finally diagnosed. Prior to that, you just couldn't figure Jeff out. His mom got married, and Jeff was in the wedding, didn't show up, so I filled in. But Jeff was being Jeff. His dad died at a very young age, traumatically, and Jeff made it to the funeral about the last 5 minutes. And everybody was mad at Jeff. There's something in me that was like, man, let it go. It's just Jeff. After Jeff was diagnosed, he did great. He did awesome. And then COVID hit. He was hospitalized 3 times in the 2 years of COVID. He was kind of banned from the gathering place for a little while because he was using. Long story short, the last 8 months, Jeff is on his road to recovery. He got HUD housing. He's back at the gathering. But this story is a little unique in the sense that I work at NAMI, Ohio. My wife's a social worker and an intervention specialist, and we can't help Jeff. But you know what? NAMI might just be his last lifeline. Maybe Athens County NAMI. Maybe the gathering place. Within the NAMI family, these stories are all too common, so we get it. That each person reaching out to us has a story, is loved by someone, and that someone is their world. I served on a school board for 10 years, and what kept me 10 years ago. I only did one term because I couldn't do it. And what kept me focused, though, when I was there, I had 4 kids in the school. Each kid coming into our building each day was the center of someone's world, either their parent, their grandparent, or someone. And their desires, worries, and cares and concerns as a board member should be mine. Each kid, no matter who they are. And I challenge each one of us here today to view each encounter, call, email, cry for help with the same passion as if it was our own family member. I'm committed and make a pledge to work hard, work hand in hand with all of you at NAMI Ohio on our top priorities. We're going to partner with the board of directors to ensure our priorities and missions stay the main thing. I'm committed to being the biggest champion for our affiliates. It was interesting. Terry led with that. Since I've been at NAMI, I am awed by the work you all do. And I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, and Terry's not. Sometimes he'll come into my office, and I pull my computer around. I said, look what's going on. Look what's going up in Cleveland. Look what's going on at Wayne Home. And I'm like, support groups and education groups. I'm committing to lead our team of servants, our staff who are just totally dedicated to the mission, and collaborate with key stakeholders and try to be the new voice at NAMI. A lot of times, a lot of our key partners have worked with Terry for 50 or 40 years. We got to keep those relationships built. And again, the main things are support. We're going to continue to do our help and our education and our sport activities and our signature programs. We're going to find a way to keep educating people. Advocacy, by the way, advocacy, when I think of it at NAMI, where I was before, it was public policy advocacy. Number one is advocating for each individual that needs help and services. That's number one. That's advocacy. And second is working with our elected officials, and I'll be partnering with all of you. And again, here's some other things we need to grow our outreach to young families. I'll talk a little bit here real quick. Housing, push for the full continuum of care. And if I don't do this, Terry may come back in a couple years and I'll be out on the street because we all know his passion is housing. Also, I want day treatment services, something to do during the day for the people we represent. We need more gathering places. We need more Magnolia houses. And also continue to focus on client navigation through our person-centered mental health. Continue, as you heard today, our marketing on reducing the stigma. Katie and I are going to work hand in hand on that with our team. And also continue our diversity and equity work. Terry said, we're not issuing a statement. We're not going to just say words. We're actually going to do something. And you heard today on some of these preceptor programs and some of the other things we're going to continue. I want to say the change here is unique. Regardless of who walked into this role, let's be honest. They are probably following the most passionate advocate most of us have ever known. I want you all to know he's like this in everything. But when it comes to mentally ill, there's nothing that gets him fired up. And he's willing to help people. As Terry took over the organization, you all heard that they were broke. I would say today, and I think Dan Gillison would second this is the strongest state NAMI in the country. This creates a unique opportunity and challenge to keep the momentum going and to raise an already high bar. We will not be complacent due to our great reputation. I'm way too competitive for that, and the thought of failing those most marginalized is not in my DNA. Successful advocacy and people organization have a series of leaders with an inner drive to be the best. You'll like this analogy. The recent coaches at Ohio State are not measured by other Big Ten schools who see being above 500 as good, especially Michigan. Buckeye coaches are measured against Woody Hayes. And I will be experiencing this firsthand and realizing to be successful, we have to embrace that challenge to be the best, continue to be the best. And I walked into NAMI 2 years ago, and I truthfully had no clue what I was getting involved in. And even though I had an idea about the organization, I truly believe we are the best nonprofit organization in Ohio, maybe the country. You know, who does the governor call when he wants to spend $84 million? Called us. Called Terry. Called our executive committee to give them ideas. I routinely see emails forwarded to me from the national office, and there's comments like, they do amazing work. They may be the best NAMI out there. And they don't know I'm reading down below to see what they say about us. I want to now share just a few observations over the last 2 years. And here's number one. The affiliates are key, and the partnership with NAMI Ohio is one of mutual admiration, and this will continue. The board of directors is the most committed group I've ever been around, ever, because they care, and their voices matter greatly, not just in our meetings, but when they make phone calls. This must continue. The NAMI staff is talented and eager and to serve and do the best job they can. This must continue. The respect of leaders and partner groups is very high. This must continue. The work being done daily by affiliates in NAMI Ohio improves the quality of life for people we serve and sometimes saves lives. This must continue. We need to develop new leaders and advocates with these younger families. This will be a priority. We must have housing and day treatment options for those in need. This will be a priority. We must bring young families in. Again, this must be a priority. In the NAMI Ohio movement, there is great love, energy, passion, and fun. I think we saw it the last 2 days. The relationships of mutual respect, care, empathy, and devotion is unmatched. This will continue. In closing, I'm honored to accept the responsibility, not just a title or role. Those of you who know me, that means nothing. The work at NAMI is more than important. It impacts real people where they live every day. Some words or quotes I plan to keep in my mind daily. I'll probably have to write them down as I get older. That I've heard regularly over the years. Are we doing today, right now, what we're doing, is it improving the lives? That's Terry Russell. Just work this much harder. Staff, have you ever heard that? Stacy's like, just work this much harder, be this much better, be a little bit above average, and the results will shine and be visible to all. And again, that's Terry Russell. Friends help friends. We've heard that one a few. That's Bob Spada. I tell you the truth, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. That'd be Jesus, and he's above both Bob and Terry. And the quote most important for me, and I hope all you regarding the people we serve, you'll think about this. And this is, I heard this a while back, and it's stuck in my mind. It's like when Terry said he saw something, I read something, and I thought, this is it. The journey of life is not meant to be traveled alone. I don't know where that came from. The journey of life was not meant to be traveled alone. NAMI must strive daily to come along the side of those isolated and alone and be their friends, their advocate, their voice, and their good Samaritan. Thank you all for what you do and your commitment to be the voice so often ignored. I look forward to growing and learning together to improve the quality of life, ensure the dignity and respect for persons with serious mental illness, and to offer support to their families and close friends. I am honored and blessed to be working with each one of you every day. I look forward to the journey ahead. God bless.